Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ahmaduhu wa usalli ala Rasulil Kareem. Amma ba'd. The world is falling into a very strange economic situation. I want to show you a few things, and then at the end I want to share with you a idea about Western civilization that Allama Iqbal talked about, Allama Muhammad Iqbal, and that's very relevant to what is going on now. Okay, and so let me start off by reading to you. As you know, the markets have all been down. All the major currencies, even the Bitcoin, all of these have been down. Bitcoin is down by 8%, etc., etc. But that's not the bad news per se. But let me just read this. Okay. This week, a cloud of anonymous news settled over global markets, which saw some of the biggest losses since spring. On Monday, amid fears that Chinese real estate giant Evergrande could default, meaning this is the company that has helped build cities after cities after cities in China, is now going to go zero. Okay, to the tune of 300 billion, and concerns that the U.S. could miss also. So now you have cascading events. You have this big company that is more powerful than many countries going down the drain, and concerns that the U.S. could miss its looming debt ceiling deadline. You know, there's a debt ceiling deadline. There's a debt, only you can have so much debt before it's too much debt. And actually, let me just share this with you. Let me see if I can. So you see here, costs in perspective. Post-11 wars versus the COVID crisis. 20 years of war. War in Iraq, war in Afghanistan cost the United States of America $6.4 trillion. 1 year of COVID, and this is way before now when this was published, is $16.1 trillion. That's 80 years of war if it had taken place. 6, 12, 18, right? So almost 3 times more. And you know, this was published back in January. Okay, so now let's get back to where we were. So you have this huge Chinese company that's going to collapse. That is a giant real estate company. Okay, and you know, people are paying them mortgage and all that happened in 2007, except this time it'll happen from the Chinese side. You have the US that is a looming debt ceiling deadline. Both crypto and stock markets fell. BTC and ETH slipped about 10%. S&P 500 fell nearly 2%. For 2 decades, Evergrande had been the top real estate developer in China, presiding over the biggest buildings boom in history. The firm's debt crisis sparked economic fears of a global contagion. Were it to fail, it could trigger cascading global consequences. Hong Kong's Hang Seng index dropped 3%, inspiring some comparisons to the collapse of the Lehman Brothers in 2008. Remember when that, like, the whole world was decimated when that happened? Nervous investors have been looking for clues from the Federal Reserve and about when and how it will begin tapering its monthly 120 billion purchases of government bonds, which has been a major part of the COVID-era stimulus response. So everyone in America is getting a stimulus response, you know, unemployment money. The debt is increasing and increasing and increasing. And so, meanwhile, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned of economic catastrophe if the U.S. fails to raise its debt limit. So before next week's deadline. You see, you have to raise the debt limit, right? So that you can say you're not in debt, kind of thing. Even though it's not exactly like that. But Yellen implored Congress to act, urging that defaulting would likely precipitate a historical financial crisis. Her plea comes as the government's debt as a percentage of GDP has reached the highest level. And this is the problem with riba. The problem with riba is that it's debt-based economy. And this is what it is. When you have a debt-based economy, you make a big bubble, you give everybody money and everyone's doing something, then boom, it bursts. But while this is the reality of on the ground, where are people spending their money? Okay. Before I talk about that, let me tell you about this. Again, central banks sink puts foreign exchange markets to sleep. So what also has been happening is that the market has been asleep. Central banks' effort to steady the global economy since the start of the pandemic have lulled the 6.6 trillion a day, okay, foreign currency market into one of its sleepiest periods on record. Okay, so the market is sleeping because of COVID, and so you have this debt that's increasing because of this situation. And then let me then tell you about Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. But while all this is happening, what is happening? I think it's called Louis Vuitton, the French fashion tycoon Bernard Arnault, who owns this company Louis Vuitton. I think that's what it's called, right? And you know, so what is happening? He is now the richest person in the world, not Jeff, the guy who's in charge of Amazon. Why? What am I pointing out here? Why is this person getting richer? Because people are buying these things of dunya, while on the bottom the reality is getting worse, and people are enjoying life and making this guy Amazon richer, this Louis Vuitton guy richer, making all this. It's like you're in the Titanic and dancing while the Titanic ship is sinking. Okay, that's literally our situation right now. And you know, they're going to try to probably override this whole financial crisis by doing what? By creating new currencies, a digital currency, a global digital currency, something like this they might do. Allahu Alam, I don't know 100%. Okay, but what I would like to share with you right now is something that Muhammad Iqbal, Western Civilization by Allama Muhammad Iqbal, what Muhammad Iqbal said about Western civilization that relates to this. I'm just going to read to you a translation of his Urdu poetry. And then after that, I'll let you enjoy part of his Urdu poetry. Iqbal says civilization of the West is perversion of heart and mind, since its soul could not remain unpolluted. When the soul loses its purity, everything goes. Cleanliness of conscience, loftiness of mind, refinement of taste. Iqbal refers again and again to the godless character of Western civilization, whose foundation is laid in intolerance of religion. So he says, the annihilation of man is the profession of this civilization, and trade and commerce its sole aim occupation. Europe, alas, is ignorant of this state. With the light of Allah its eye does not see. Not between the allowed and prohibited it makes a distinction, meaning there's no halal and haram, nothing is sacred, everything its wisdom is immature and mission incomplete. It makes one community devour the other. One sows the seeds, other reaps the harvest. That's what riba is. In snatching bread from the weak, its wisdom lies. In taking away life from his brother's frame. The target of modern civilization is man himself, who is the source of its energy, animation, and instrument of its commerce and industry. The mounting expenditures and the rising cost of living are creation of Jewish cunning, which have robbed mankind of the light of faith. This is part of his poetry. The world of profit, trade, deceit, and turpitude is crumbling fast. A new world is struggling to take its place. But now a new world is born. The old world is dying. The world in which the Europe is the dice thrower, just a world of chance, of money, having made a gambling den. So this is how Iqbal sees this. In what he saw, you can see now the dirty fruits. And this is where I want to share with you another poem by Iqbal. I'm going to say this in Urdu because it's poetic. Uthakar phenk do bahir gali mein. He says, take your eggs and throw them out in the street. Uthakar phenk do बाहर गली में नए तहजीब के अंडे हैं गंदे. This new civilization that's taking over the world now, Iqbal saying this in the 1930s, its eggs, what it reaps, what it sows, it's a dirty egg. Don't eat this egg. Throw it away. And then he says, and this is from the political perspective, so he talked from the economic perspective, this is election, membri, council, sadarat, banaye khoob azadi ke phande. He said this election and being a member of this committee and that committee and council this and president this and these are all the noose that kills independence. Okay, and he continues in his poetry. But anyway, I thought I should share this and share with you that definitely when you look at the situation at hand, the cost, as I said, the cost of the economy, this is 6.4 trillion versus 1 year of COVID, 16.1 trillion. And on top of that, we have debt. On top of that, we have other economic crises that are taking place, including this economic crisis that's going to take place probably in China and affect the whole world. So may Allah protect us. Everyone should be reading Surah Al-Waqi'ah every night before going to sleep, every day, every day, every day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.